Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It is a Friday. That's right. We're right here for Rings of Power. If you haven't caught on yet, we'll definitely be giving you some Friday episodes to make sure that we cover the Ring of Power or some episode in between our normal and the House of the Dragons episodes. So, for those who haven't caught on yet, welcome to the Rings of Power episode 3 entitled Adar. Adar? Adar. I'm not sure. But either way, my name is Keelan. I'm here with Nick, as always. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, happy Friday. I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty well. It's something about uh, this episode because it had a lot of energy in it. Um, and the change in weather, like it's still kind of hot, but it's wet outside now.
Yeah,
It's just kind of got my energy in a place where I can't kind of hold it in, and it's just being sprayed everywhere. Sorry.
pause.
Oh damn, that did that.
Phrasing.
Well,
Anyways.
but yeah, no, definitely. But so here we are to cover episode number 3 of Rings of Power. For those who have not seen episode 3, Rings of Power, entitled Adar, that is the one that came out today, not the one that came out last week. If you saw the first 2 episodes and you have not seen episode 3, go and check out our review of episodes 1 and 2. Check out episode 3, come back and check out our review of episode 3. We don't want to hit you with any spoilers if you're not absolutely prepared for them. For everyone who made it through that little rant and you still want to be here and you have no problem hearing what's going on in the Rings of Power, welcome. This is episode 3, and from there I'll ask Nick, how did you feel about this episode? How did it strike you to begin with?
Yeah. I was kind of a little bit bored with this episode. I'm still interested, but I feel like there was probably a little bit too many new characters introduced, and I felt like I was missing some of the characters that we spent the first 2 episodes with, and wanting to see more of them. We got introduced to some new people, and I think that took a big chunk of the episode, in my opinion. And there wasn't a whole lot going on, especially in Galadriel's storyline. As far as I guess it's probably more world building. Of course, they want to get Numenor. They want to show Numenor and have that as early as possible, which doesn't really make sense in the story, but that's fine. I just was, I don't know. I was underwhelmed a little bit. I thought the visuals were still very good. I enjoyed Arondir's storyline, and I enjoyed a little bit of the Harfoot storyline, but it was also kind of annoying to me too. So I found myself wondering where the dwarves and Elrond were, and wishing that I could see what they were up to.
Come on, you know plenty about what they do, what they're up to, and possibly an idea of where they are right now. But I understand. I totally get it. For myself, I can definitely say I agree with a portion of what you said. Um, as far as the introduction of the new characters, I'm assuming you're talking about in Numenor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I'm on the fence because I have some question there. I feel like they did have a little bit too much screen time for the amount of information we gathered on them, which was hardly any. We got a lot of information about the island, but as far as the Harfoots, wholly agree. Could have ripped that out of here. But I did like the episode. Visually agreed. I don't think. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to climb this mountain too fast. But as far as visuals, I don't even think we're gonna have to say it anymore through the rest of this season. It's clear that they are superior in their visual effects and being able to actually show us what it is that they're trying to get across without it looking cheap, which can be done really quickly with this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, overall though, I did enjoy the episode. Like for me, again, and I'll touch on some of those things that I am using to reference the energy. See how you started that? Now I got to just make sure I cover my. Yep. Um, this is terrible, man. So what I'll be doing is I will make sure to highlight the points of energy that I was referencing at the beginning, simply because there were some points where I felt like there was a lot of energy in this episode. Whether intentional or non intentional, maybe on part of the actors in some of those scenarios, but we'll get there. So yeah, that's kind of my opening for which is weird because it was kind of long winded compared to usual. But what am I talking about? I am long winded. Um,
No, I,
Definitely how I feel about this episode though.
yeah, I don't know. I wanted to like it. I wanted it to be exciting. I kind of one of a lot of the people that are gloating about this being the worst show ever to sort of have to eat a little bit of crow and like maybe just say it's not that bad. But this episode didn't do anything to work in my favor in that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to really redeem it in any way. It's decent enough for story building, but there's lots of problems with the story overall. Isildur shouldn't be here at all, at least for 1,000 years, I think. So they're bringing in characters that are not supposed to be in the same timelines as each other. Yeah, there's just some stuff that they're doing that is a little bit creative. They want to do their own thing. That's what they do. But I do also wonder, like Galadriel for me is starting to be very annoying. I don't know. I mean, I just wish that there was more to her character. It's just she's so flat. She's so flat. Could you just break a little bit and show me a tiny piece of personality in there? Like I just feel like she's this stone edifice that doesn't show any emotion.
That's
And
not
maybe
what she's
that's
supposed to be.
I guess, but that's not interesting as a character.
Fair.
Like that's not interesting as a character. And I
And
feel like
off the
she's
battlefield, that sucks. I get it.
yeah, and I feel like she's not really being deep. And maybe there needs to be more episodes that that bring us to that point. But I'm feeling no depth from Galadriel right now. I'm just not. She's hard headed. She doesn't treat anybody well. She's mean to everybody. Yeah. So I just don't enjoy her character right now, and I'm really hoping that they turn her around a little bit and give her some more depth to the character. Because right now she's just a one note, always right, always awesome.
One trick pony.
That's boring. That's
Always.
boring. Have some character.
You want her to fail?
No, not fail. I just want her to have some like humanity. She just doesn't feel. I know that she's an elf. I know, but Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings was able to convey a certain level of personality and humanity that even though she only had a few minutes of screen time in the whole movie, you could kind of tell what kind of person she was. And after watching 3 hours of this Galadriel, I still don't even know why she thinks she's so great.
Right. It's kind of like they nerf the actual character. And it's funny because that was one of the questions I was gonna ask in this episode is with you again, for those who aren't aware, I am not the deep diver when it comes to the Lord of the Rings. And that was a question I was gonna have for you, Nick, is this becoming, as we get deeper into the storyline of what they're doing, and it sounds like it is this becoming one of those things where it's like if you know too much of the original storyline, it's like, all right, I can only enjoy this so much.
Unfortunately, I think it is because it seems as though they're starting to rearrange things in the Tolkien lore. I wouldn't have any problem with it if they wanted to just have a self-contained story that doesn't really affect any of the other stuff. I'm whatever, that's fine. I really don't care. But if the stranger is Gandalf, that's a problem. Unless they try to rationalize it away as some pre Gandalf that comes, but Gandalf apparently only shows up in Middle Earth in the Third Age, which is still like 1,000 years away, 1,500 years away. You have to be really deep into the lore to be bothered by that stuff. But I do also think that even if you're not super into the lore, I think this is still falling flat in certain elements. I think the pacing is starting to feel a little bit too trog. Like I feel like I'm trotting through a swamp, and I'm just like, all right, all right. Can we get to something that's gonna like hook me a little bit?
Make it make
Um,
sense.
yeah, and I also think just the characterization. Again, Galadriel is just not a very relatable character. I
Right.
just can't relate to her. She's just doesn't want to connect. She's very guarded and closed. Um, that could change again, but like she's a big part of this story, and if she continues to be this like bland, I don't know.
The only place foresaw that changing would have been if her and Halbrand found some mutual ground, and then they like
Hmm.
became equals in her eyes somehow, which clearly just happened.
Right.
Yep, no extra energy out of her on that.
No, not
But
not not whatsoever. Even when
but
she was being nice to Halbrand, she didn't even crack a
but
smile.
even he got less energetic, like less there was less fire in his eyes during those scenes, it seemed, even when she was bringing these things to light for him to like resurge and rekindle the flame inside of himself to save his lands. Yeah, not there.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I
way
don't know
more in
how
his eye.
I don't
Okay.
know how she's rousing anybody. Again, it could be just an acting choice that they wanted her to be very stoic,
Hmm.
but I just feel like that's just misplaced. Like there's nobody want like you. Superman's boring because he's too good at everything.
Right.
Like
It's
we don't
literally one of the running jokes of Superman.
Yeah, he's boring because he's great at everything. We don't want our heroes to be the best at everything all the time. We want them to have depth to them, to have maybe a flaws to them. And I think
Right.
maybe they're trying to hint at Galadriel does have flaws, but I'm not 100% that that's what they're going for. And I'm worried that this Galadriel that's been in the first 3 episodes is going to be the same one in season 5, and she's not going to have change at all. And that would be unfortunate, especially if you're trying to build a character and a world and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. You need growth. You need your characters to do something.
Right. I mean, and I figure if we were to get, say, 5 seasons out of this, um, I would assume just automatically that the character that we saw in the movies, you have to show some transformation to get there. So there would have to be something.
Right. And Mike's here. What up, Big Mike? We'll see you on
Right.
Sunday. He'll be tuning. Thanks for tuning in, man. He says, "Yeah, the hero's journey. That's exactly it. The hero doesn't
Yeah.
start off great. They start off kind of crappy at stuff, and then they get good at it, and
Well, it
then
seems
they
like the only thing she's crappy at is social skills
she's very bad at that. So maybe that's what they're going for, is that she's not good with interacting with other entities, which
with humans.
with humans, sure.
With
She's not
humans.
very nice to Elrond either.
Yeah, because Elrond clearly trying to put a baby or 12 in her.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I just think that,
Wait, they don't have
like,
babies. My bad.
no, they do. But if that's going to be her character arc and her growth, then so be it. But I would like it to be a little bit more obvious if that's what we're going for, because right
Mhm.
now it feels so ambiguous as to think that, like, oh, does she have no flaws? Is that what they're trying to tell me? That like Galadriel's just infallible? I don't know,
I
but
mean, isn't she like one of the elder elves? I
she
think
is
that's the only part
absolutely.
that bothers me about her lack of social skill. It's like, so are they saying she's been alive for so long that she has no social skill, or that she's just never taken the time to learn it? Which, in which case, wouldn't make sense for her to be personable later on.
She's certainly part of the oldest like lineage of elves for sure, and I think that relates to certain power levels and certain demeanors and stuff like that, which would
Okay,
totally be fine. But you need to flesh that out a little bit more.
make
Like,
it make sense.
yeah, yeah. I think it would be nice to just have a little bit more something, just
Mhm.
one note. But I'm done bashing Galadriel. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I really don't actually. I want her to have an interesting character arc. I just don't see. I don't see if where they're taking her character yet.
Right. All right. Well, I guess we start at the tippy top, but this kind of it's flowed really smooth in my opinion, so it shouldn't be too difficult to just get from one point to each. I do
Mhm.
feel like every single section began, and you can pretty much sum up about every 5 minutes in about 6 words.
Maybe most of the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so is in Numenor, right?
Except for the very first scene, which is Arendir waking up as a prisoner,
Right.
and then we have Galadriel waking up in on the way to Numenor. They're on the ship. They're not quite in Numenor yet.
Mhm.
But literally 3 minutes later, we're in Numenor. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Numenor's had a very rough history with the elves, and in the books there's like a split between two parts of Numenor, one that's pro-elf and one that's anti-elf,
Oh,
and that's where I think you're getting a little bit of this because it seems like the Queen Regent or whoever's lady is in charge wants her to kill Galadriel. Did I
it
get that
seems
right?
like it.
It
That's what
felt
I
like
thought was
that's what
going
that
on.
was.
It
Yeah,
felt like it wasn't like, take care of that for me.
right.
And handling.
That's the way I kind of saw it as well. So I'm wondering if maybe she's like part of the anti-elf sort of faction because they did say that like the king, who was an elf friend, is locked in a tower somewhere.
Right, but that didn't make sense in the scene later where we see Queen Regent Muriel going to the tower, seemingly to see her father and saying, "The day we feared is here, the elf has come." If he's an elf supporter, I don't think that's a day of fear, right?
That's a good question. I don't know. There is a theory that maybe perhaps Numenor is already under Sauron's
Control.
control. It's
Ooh,
possible. That would have to develop over episodes. I think they probably have to reveal that over episodes. But that would kind of
some
explain away as
flashbacks.
to, yeah, it would kind of explain as to why the queen is so hostile to
Hmm.
Galadriel,
It
other
would,
than her having no personality.
right? And maybe it's just Sauron has. That's the only place he's been able to actually survive, but it's such a remote island and there's exclusive access. But they also apparently were holding the scribes that told you the plan.
Also, Numenorians are supposed to be 8 feet tall,
Oh,
and yeah, and they're like demigods because they were
the
blessed with,
Nephilim.
yeah, they were blessed with longer lives.
I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say longer limbs.
Oh well, yeah. Well,
Well,
8 feet
clearly,
tall, they
yeah.
would have longer limbs. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, definitely sounds like you just described the Nephilim.
Yeah, a little bit of mixing going on Numenor for sure.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of cool to see the establishing shot of the city.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not really sure if I'm in love with that part of the story just yet. Just because, again, like this is too much. I don't know. There's too many people to keep track of at this point.
Right. I can't say I love Numenor, but I am glad we were introduced to Elendil. Is that his name?
Mhm.
Elendil. I think he's more important than even the Queen Regent in Numenor itself.
Well, Elendil and Isildur. So I think Elendil is Isildur's father.
Yeah.
Isildur becomes the king of the men, basically.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's the one. I mean, unless it's his son, it could be the Isildur's son is the one that takes the One Ring.
Hmm.
Um, but that doesn't make any sense now in the canon because, like, Isildur, that doesn't make any sense because Isildur would be like 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, I
They're
can't
doing,
call it either.
yeah, they're doing some weird stuff. I do know that we didn't get any Theo in this episode.
What's a Theo?
The kid.
Don't remember. See, look how
So,
I did that.
yeah, that's a point against you, Rings of Power.
Oh, I'm
Um,
gonna say more,
no, no, not you. It's a
but no,
point
yeah,
against the show that you don't
yeah,
remember a character that was in 2 episodes. Um,
yeah. Theo.
Theo, the little kid, the woman and the elf guy, and then the little
Oh
kid with
snap!
the sword.
Bronwyn's son.
Yes, Bronwyn's son.
I remember Bronwyn and all of that, but yeah, Bronwyn's kid, Theo. Theo. Yeah, I'm worried about Theo. I still think he is the device of evil.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, we didn't get any Bronwyn, didn't get any Theo, didn't get any Elrond, no Durin, no
Yeah, no Durin.
Celebrimbor. There's just a lot of people that were left out of this episode that I'm like, I don't know if that was a good call.
Did
Especially
you
if
just
you,
say no Celebrimbor? He lives in our minds. Come on.
yeah. Celebrimbor is supposed to be a part of this too. I'm sure he will be more in the following episodes, but yeah, there were just some. I think that this episode suffered from the lack of storylines that I was particularly interested in, and
Mhm.
I'm getting a little bit fatigued of the Harfoots and the Stranger. I would like to see that progress more. Um,
I personally liked how it progressed in this particular episode. What I'm trying to figure out, I don't remember, and again, not a deep diver, but I don't remember any significance of Gandalf and Nori, so I'm starting to think that's not Gandalf.
what do you mean?
Like, I would assume Gandalf tells stories, bro. Like, it's
Oh
always
yeah.
some
Well,
fantastical story.
so I guess the theory is that this would be the establishing reason as to why Gandalf is fond of hobbits, because he came down as a sort of like so Gandalf comes in the Third Age as the iteration of Gandalf the Grey, Mithandril. Then he becomes Gandalf the White. So what people are saying is that perhaps this Gandalf is a color that's lower than gray, and it's like this prototype of Gandalf that's come to Middle Earth before Gandalf the Grey. Yeah.
Like, he had to become three butterflies before becoming the monarch. Like, what?
Well, so when Gandalf the White,
Pokemon?
when Gandalf becomes Gandalf the White, he has very little remembrance of himself as Gandalf the Grey. He
Oh,
establishes himself after he comes back as Gandalf the White, and he doesn't really have like a whole lot of recollection of who Gandalf the Grey was. So it's possible that this Gandalf is the precursor to Gandalf the Grey, who is the precursor to Gandalf the White.
oh wow.
Maybe.
Okay.
I also
I
thought
actually
it's
didn't know
possible.
any of that.
I also thought it might be possible that it's Sauron. Um,
Sauron's
Saruman's
brother?
no, it's the other White Wizard in Lord of the Rings, played by Christopher Lee.
Mm,
He was the White Wizard initially, and then Gandalf
okay.
replaced him. So
Okay. Oh wow. See, yeah. Not familiar.
yeah, I just kind of want that storyline to do something. I feel like it's where I don't need to see how Harfoots put stuff on their head so that they can curl up into a ball on the floor and look like they're
They're
a part of the ground.
right. They're excellent hiding people,
They're
that's for
very
sure.
good at it. Yes,
Very
yes.
good. I was sitting there looking directly at him and didn't see him. I was like, where did everybody go?
Right.
Why is only Nori? Oh snap, everybody's right there. Oh, that's clever.
Yeah,
But
they're always wearing a ghillie suit, basically.
dang, yeah.
There's stay wearing ghillie suits, man. I always got to blend in, got to hide from the
That's
big folk.
hilarious. Look, you can only see things in the ways you see them. That's hilarious. I did want to mention, so the Queen Regent, again, that moment she had with Elendil, where she's kind of pressing him about what his name means, and at first he's like, one who loves stars, like, proudly, like, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm a captain of a ship. Of course, I love the stars. That's how I navigate. And she's like, oh, that's not its only translation. It's like, bitch, if you know tell me what you want to hear then.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And it's like, come on, you knew it wasn't the only translation. Why are you doing this
Mhm.
to me? I do
And you
like
knew I
that
wasn't
little
going to give you the Elven translation initially.
right. I do kind of like that little bit of an Easter egg, right? Because it's he says it's lover of stars, which
Mhm.
is kind of true because elves were born under starlight, and their first love was the starlight. So it kind of makes sense that his name is lover of the stars, but also you could
Elfriend.
retranslate it as elf friend because elves love the stars first. Yeah.
What?
So
Okay,
it's a nice little Easter egg.
almost like an innuendo. It's definitely an
Mhm.
insider, but that's pretty nice. And I think that even makes it even funnier than knowing that or learning that and the way she reacted. It's like, yeah, like I honestly think she might be an elf. You ain't see her ears this whole episode.
You haven't seen her ears. Um, yeah, I don't know what her angle is. There has been speculation that she's not going to be adversarial to Galadriel, so we might just be getting a bait and switch here or a red herring, where it looks like she might be a bad guy, but it's not. She's not
just
really
strong.
Right. So we'll see. Again, I'm not 100% really caring about that. Halbrand is interesting. I'm wondering if he's Sauron now or just maybe corrupted by Sauron, because he certainly has berserker mode.
For sure has a berserker mode. And I think that was probably my favorite moment of this entire episode. The reveal of Halbrand being the king, the lost king of the Southlands, and the history behind his ancestors being the one who pledged their allegiance and served Morgoth. So in his mind, he's tainted.
Yeah, he could still be Sauron because the men of the South pledged their allegiance to Morgoth, and if he's Sauron, then they would be pledging their allegiance to him. So technically, he is the king of the men of the South.
I would think so as well.
But we'll see. I don't know. There's a lot of mystery box things going on in this show, but I also feel like they're going to take too long to reveal themselves.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling like with all the digging and the slavery going on over in the Southlands by the orcs, they think they're looking for something underground, not knowing they're really just looking for the king, who is a vessel. He's one of the few suitable vessels because his bloodline has been blessed, so to speak, by Morgoth to inherit the seeds of evil.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure what the orcs want right now, but we find out in this episode that the orcs have somewhat of a leader,
Adar.
Yeah, which is odd because the orcs would assumedly just report to Sauron, so Adar must be like a chief or something.
Adar looks
a general.
Yeah, he definitely is more high class than the others. But from the blurry image we got, black hair, but still the white face as if he's an orc, makes me think he's a human orc hybrid.
Well, he's definitely an elf. He's definitely an elf. He was skinny and he had long hair and he was very wafy looking. I think he's an elf.
Ooh, maybe he's an elder elf that was turned into an orc. Because you said that the orcs are just elves that were corrupted, correct?
That is what the canon is. Yeah, orcs are elves that were turned to corruption. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. So maybe
it's possible.
He's like a Galadriel type who got turned.
Maybe. Or he was the one that, basically gave his blood to help create orcs or something like that.
Or, yeah, possible. So he's probably like the orc general. Yeah, as you say, kind of like a general or something.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, son.
We'll see. Still waiting to figure out if there's anything going on.
Right. I do have to admit that there are moments going through this where I'm like, all right, I can go rewatch the whole 20 hours of this.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings?
I'm not watching 20 hours, but yeah.
No, you don't have to. I mean, Lord of the Rings is a great trilogy. But yes, if you do watch it, you do need to watch the extended versions, and those are 4.5 hours long each. So
20 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. 3
movies, that is easily about 14 hours, including breaks. We're at 16 hours. That's a drive to the middle of the country.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I know, right? The way I break stuff, like, hey, look, if you guys ever want to know how long, let somebody else drive, hop in the passenger seat, and you can binge all of that.
There you go.
So, yeah, I don't know. Elendil and Galadriel, their whole trip from him catching her trying to escape, their trip to the Hall of Lore, I'm almost sure he's gonna make him. I don't know if it's a mistake actually, because he's clearly an elf friend. That's not even a question. I'm curious where that's going, because to me it seems like she hates humans, honestly.
Yeah, I think that it seems like he might be buttering her up to get close to her enough to kill her, maybe. because he did mention to his son that he didn't want his son going over to the western part of the island, which is, I assume, where the elf sympathizers live.
Yeah, he said there's
Um,
nothing for him over there. I'm assuming
right,
that's also where his first son went, his eldest son.
right,
If he hasn't passed away as a seaman.
right.
I
Yeah,
think it's one
yeah.
of the two
So
things. Either he's dead or that.
yeah, so I think that's what's happening, is that the other side of the island actually likes the elves, and perhaps we'll see some sort of conflict between the two sides of Numenor
Oh, I
throughout
said
this.
Numenor Civil War.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. That's what happens. So,
That's what happens, man. Opposing ideas.
mhm. Yep.
um. So yeah. Let's see.
There's not
Halbrand
even
being
that much. There's nothing else to talk about.
no, there's
Arendir's
not.
storyline.
That's really what I think. That's it. Numenor, Arendir. Yeah, Arendir is probably the most interesting part.
The
So.
orcs look good. I think they look pretty darn good. I thought
Mhm.
I thought what was going on with him was interesting enough. It was interesting to see the orcs, and they can't actually be out in sunlight for too long because they're creatures of darkness. So
Mhm.
they have to cover themselves and they have to make sure they stay out of the sun. I like that. I like that they're paying attention to that whole thing. And I also like to see these sort of proto orcs that wear like animal skins instead of armor, because they haven't made armor yet.
Yeah,
So they're
I thought that
using
was clever as well.
buckskin and animal skin and stuff like that to armor
Huge,
themselves.
huge lizard hide.
Right. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what lizard is that? You know what? It doesn't matter. That was clever.
Right.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
So I like all of that.
Yeah.
I
Arendir was very clever in the way he was able to get everybody on his side and on the same page.
mhm.
I also thought it was very clever of the writing and the production team to have it where, or maybe that's part of just the original writing, right? But where it's like they escape over the hill only to be shot down by arrow. Gun line, boss.
Mhm.
That's literally when I seen him with that arrow, I was like, ooh, gun line.
Mhm.
That's not supposed to be like, oh, that's nice. But for theatrical sake, it's like took me back to that moment watching that movie Life. Like,
Yeah,
what was
and
that?
like you wouldn't have a patrol out there, looking for people that are trying to run.
Right.
Yeah, of course you would.
It's a prison. What did you
Yeah.
think was gonna happen?
I actually was a little bit disappointed at that, like the weakness of these elves, but then it does make sense, because I guess you have to think that elves are just like humans that have
Mhm.
the ability to stay alive forever.
For longer,
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're overly strong. They might be more agile than humans, I think,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I don't think they're like overly strong or anything.
I don't think their hands move as fast as Katapa.
No, you're right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I think his storyline's pretty decent. I don't know where that's going to go. He just got recaptured, so
But he
uh,
now gets to go and meet the orc general, basically, or the
that's
orc
right.
boss. I
Yes.
think that's gonna. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think that's gonna teach us something about the orc elf relationship.
Hmm.
And I think they're gonna corrupt him.
I think they're going to try for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they
Uh,
will try.
but so the other thing, and really this is it, the redemption of bloodlines that Galadriel was speaking to Halbrand of. Again, him being of the accursed family that pledged their allegiance to Morgoth to begin with.
Hmm.
Um, and as he says, the family that lost the war, though clearly because Morgoth lost. And her being of the family that, from her words, started the war, which I don't know how that makes sense. Maybe you can explain that, or maybe that'll come up later. But I thought that was pretty cool the way she found a connection to basically now have a partner. Now, where she comes to the purpose of thinking she no longer is without an army, I am interested to know what the hell she meant by that. Unless she meant
Oh,
his army.
well, I think she's excommunicated from the elves for the time being, because
I
she
think so as
rejected
well.
she rejected Valinor. So they're not going to really like her very much right now. As far as what was the other thing that you asked? The relation. Shit, I just lost it.
The relationship with her and Halbrand.
Yeah, you were saying, the redemption
Yeah,
or
the redemption of the blood. I just thought that was a very cool mention because
mm.
I'm not really familiar with that.
Oh, Galadriel said we started it. I think that might be a reference to the elves being the original sort of starters of the discourse in Beleriand, which was like a land.
Okay.
Because in the Silmarillion, they kind of have their own civil war where
Mhm.
they start like a whole conflict. And so that's probably why she says we started it, because
Okay.
the only reason the orcs exist is because the elves started fighting with each other over the Silmarils, and some fell to darkness and all of that. So
Got it. Okay.
yeah,
Hey, lesson. Get that lesson. I
right.
wasn't familiar, so I was those were that right there was the only thing that really had me questioning, like, what does she mean by that, and how are they going to explain that, or do we already know what's going on there? So, kind of a story there, but maybe they'll go in a little more depth, give us some run back on.
It also makes
Everything
absolutely
else.
zero. It also makes absolutely zero sense that Galadriel would be like, "Oh, you're the family of the people who pledged to Morgoth. Let me break you out of prison
Let's be
and join me."
friends. I didn't get that either. I thought that was the symbol. I thought as soon as he said that, she would walk away.
Right, right. You just spent centuries hunting orcs, and now you're gonna take the word of this guy who just
Who
admitted to you that he pledged his allegiance to Morgoth.
basically has the blood of Morgoth in his veins.
Yeah. And then when you call him out on it, it says we are not on the same team. And then you're like, but maybe we could be.
Mhm. And I think that was his main point of running away from the Southlands. Is I think in his mind, if he's in the Southlands, he's vulnerable to an attack of Morgoth and an embodiment. So
Mm,
I'm really thinking it's gonna come down to something like that. Like he's gonna pop up as a human, and the next thing you know, it's gonna be like magic and armor swirling around him.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. Well, I think that's it for us tonight.
Yes,
Right?
indeed. That is all we have for episode 3 of Rings of Power, entitled Adar, who we technically never saw, but we got a nice little blur of him. You guys just got the assorted opinions of Keelan and Nick, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in because without you guys, we just be doing this for ourselves. Well, I mean, we're kind of still just doing it for ourselves. We have fun. What can I say? But definitely, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, for being a part of the entertainment that we bring to all of you who decide to watch. And we'll see you in the future for more episodes. By all means, check out some of these other shows we have and check us out on Sunday when we're right here for
Announcement.
the House of Dragon. Uh-huh.
Announcement. We are officially on Rumble now. So this will be streaming on Rumble as well. So if you like alternative platforms, you're not a
Mhm.
fan of YouTube or Facebook, we are on Rumble at Screen Time Continuum. So every live stream we do will now be live streaming to Rumble as well. Go
Nice.
check us out there.
Get your Rumble on. For those who don't already have the app downloaded, get that now. So definitely check out the Screen Time Continuum. We are right here with you this evening, giving you Rings of Power. We'll be right back with you on Sunday, giving you House of the Dragons. On Saturdays, you can tune in to This Merry Moment. This Merry Moment is currently available on YouTube, Spotify, a couple of other outlets that I can't remember off the top of my head, and Facebook. Please definitely hop on over to This Merry Moment and check that out. Let us know how you feel. Drop some comments, or you could even send an email over there. Who knows? I mean, I think somebody responds. Definitely. Next, you can head on over on Tuesdays to what's my name?
I don't know. I'm not going to help you with this.
Christ. Oh, that just happened live and on air. I just forgot that. But yes, right there, Tuesdays we'll be right back with you with If Numbers Could Talk at 8 p.m. I'll be hosting If Numbers Could Talk. I really forgot the name of that show. The logo and everything was in my head, and I just couldn't think of the name. But If Numbers Could Talk on Tuesday, head on over there, check us out. Wednesdays, right back here, Screen Time Continuum. Again, all platforms, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, platform names for whatever reason are just slipping me right now. On Thursdays, you can head on over to check out Dejan on Strawberries and Coffee. He streams off of Twitch, so definitely make sure you get over to Twitch, hit that subscribe and follow button so you know when he goes live, and has impromptu shows. And for any backlog shows, you can catch him on YouTube. Fridays, you can come on over and check out the Exofathom, or as you're doing right this very moment, check out the Screen Time Continuum when we're shooting for Rings of Power. But primarily, Fridays are reserved for the Exofathom. The Exofathom comes to you Fridays at 8 p.m. and they will always be giving you something new, something interesting, something that you and your friends thought that you heard something about because you read something on the HuffPost that was like a 2-minute article. They're going to give you a 2-hour article. Go ahead and check that out, the Exofathom, on Fridays, 8 p.m. And once again, guys, we appreciate you. Check out all of the shows that I just went off on for you. And if you don't check those shows out, just know you're missing out on some good stuff that we're putting out here for you. So check it out because it's for you, by us. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
And I am Nick.
We appreciate you guys. And if you can, rate my enthusiasm.
Thumbs up would be great. Thanks, guys.